Tonight, cleanup now underway after a train derailment in Darke County. Right now, crews remain on the scene after 3 tanker cars flipped on their side, causing other cars to go off the tracks. Those living in Greeneville are still in shock.
We didn't hear anything. There was no sound at all.
Kathleen Neely and her husband live just 2 blocks from this massive scene in Greeneville.
And I am really surprised at how much damage is done. I really am. I thought, okay, derailment, okay, maybe they sort of hopped off the track, but there's a lot more than that.
You can see 3 tanker cars flipped onto their sides, dragging multiple other cars with them and off the tracks. A sight no one in this small Darke County community thought would ever happen.
The trains are always, they come through once or twice a day, always very slowly, never any problems.
Someone came in saying that I needed to call 911, that the train had crashed and derailed. So I was in shock, okay.
Morgan Curfew works just next to where the train derailed. She told us she heard a thump and the building shook slightly. So when she actually looked outside, she couldn't believe what she saw, and neither did her neighbors.
I've had a few people come in saying kind of the same thing, yeah, I've lived here for 50 years and never seen anything like this happen. That's very shocking.
Tonight, crews remain on the scene as the cleanup crews will start to arrive tonight and into tomorrow morning. Greeneville police are assuring residents there's no reason to be concerned.
At this point, there's no reported hazmat issues or anything to worry about. Now it's just the cleanup process and trying to make traffic flow as good as we can while we're in this stage.
This derailment has had significant impacts on streets there in Greeneville. Jenna Lee Borick is live for us tonight. So Jenna Lee, what's going on? I still could see actually crews still working on the scene.
Yeah, Elise, at least 3 streets are closed around where the accident happened, and crews are working to get this cleaned up quickly. 1 tanker car is up right now. 3 tanker cars overturned carrying ethanol, but none of it has leaked to this point. An expert today telling us trains are the safest way to carry hazardous material.
There's truck and pipeline. Truck is more dangerous and pipeline is very limited because there's not much flexibility. So there are alternatives, but they're not better alternatives, I don't think.
So is there any time frame for exactly when this might be done?
Yeah, I spoke to a representative from the fire department who says they're expected to have the cars cleaned up by midnight, and it looks like they might hit that deadline. The track, however, won't be repaired tonight. We were not able to get in touch with a representative from the company who owns the train, but we will continue to bring you coverage on all of our platforms in the coming days. Back to you.
Now, this latest derailment and the one in East Palestine are shining a spotlight on rail safety. So why has there been a lack of action to change laws? James Pilcher took concerns, I should say, to our nation's transportation officials and asked what he and the Biden administration are doing to keep trains on the tracks.
Do you feel like the railway system is safer a year after East Palestine?
Well, I can tell you that we have taken a number of steps to make it safer, but Congress could and should do more.
That's U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg speaking to me Tuesday about the state of the nation's railway system, less than 2 weeks from the 1-year anniversary of the Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine. That event caused a massive chemical spill and burn-off, creating environmental concerns that could last for years to come. In our interview, Buttigieg touted the tighter inspections his administration has put in place since the derailment. They're also trying to implement rules which would mandate at least 2 workers on longer freight trains. But he says the railroad industry is pushing back on that for cost reasons.
But think about what they're asking for. These railroad corporations are saying they should be able to run trains sometimes 2, 3, they're getting to be more than 3 miles long in some cases, and potentially have only 1 human being on board that train.
But the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and former presidential candidate says there's only so much his department can do. Many changes need to come from Congress. And he pushed for passage of that bill proposed by Ohio Senators Sherrod Brown and J.D. Vance. The legislation would also increase staffing on trains, while also increasing mandatory inspections of tracks and raise how much railroads can be fined for major accidents.
Congress could take care of this right away by enacting it. So we're not waiting on Congress because we think we have the authority to advance this rule right now. But it's one of many things Congress could do and should do.
And of course, we have posted everything we know about this derailment on our website. And as soon as we learn more, we'll bring you updates on air and online. You can find all our coverage right now at Dayton247now.com. Well, the man accused of leading police on this dramatic police chase down US 35, firing at officers and crashing into cruisers, will now be arraigned next Tuesday. 54-year-old James Skirvin was set to be in court today, but again, it's been delayed. He is indicted on charges of felonious assault with a deadly weapon and domestic violence for the events that led up to that officer-involved crash and chase. Skirvin is accused of striking his adult daughter with his truck at Voyager Village Mobile Home Park. Police say when they got there, he pointed a weapon at them, which started the chase. After chasing him down 35, Skirvin's truck crashed into a Montgomery County Sheriff cruiser before landing on top of a Trotwood police cruiser. Skirvin and the Trotwood police officer were then taken to Miami Valley Hospital. That officer has since been released. Skirvin is still recovering and more charges are expected. A man responsible for a fiery car crash has been found guilty of burglary and assault. 38-year-old John Schmid crashed into a Greene County home last winter, which caused his car to catch on fire. Prosecutors say after the crash, Schmid then broke into an elderly couple's home and assaulted them. The husband suffered serious injuries. Schmid was found guilty of aggravated burglary, assault, and felonious assault, and attempted to trespass charges. And Springfield police need your help to find this man here behind me tonight. 40-year-old Tyron Dearman is accused of shooting 53-year-old Edward Ellington last month on West Euclid Avenue in Springfield. Ellington was taken to Miami Valley Hospital but later died. Dearman is now facing murder, assault, and other weapon-related charges. If you have any information that could lead to his arrest, you are asked to call Springfield Police at 937-324-7616. Tonight, all lanes on I-70 East are back open after a semi-truck fire. Take a look at that video that happened this morning near the I-675 interchange in Clark County. Now, our viewer, Jesse Peters, sent in this video of that. Absolutely incredible video. Fire crews say the woman driving that truck immediately pulled over and got out after seeing smoke. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the deputy fire chief is now reminding drivers to slow down, especially when crews are responding to an emergency. Tonight, we know former Springfield Police Chief Roger Evans passed away last week. He was 87 years old. He led the Springfield Police Division for a decade. The division posting on Facebook in part, quote, Chief Evans exemplified integrity, empathy, and profound respect in every facet of his duty. He tirelessly worked to bridge gaps within the community. His contributions paved the way for positive change, inspiring generations to come. His visitation will be held this Friday at Greater Grace Temple in Springfield from 10 a.m. to noon. Funeral services will follow. This comes just one day after former longtime Springfield Mayor Warren Copeland died yesterday. He passed away at the age of 80 after a stay in hospice care. Now, we've just learned his visitation will happen Saturday, February 3rd from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Springfield City Hall Forum. A celebration of life will happen the next day, February 4th at 2 p.m. inside the Wittenberg University Fieldhouse. And now we want to give you a live look right now from our Troy traffic camera. Wow, it is really hard to even see the road right now, parts of the Miami Valley under that dense fog warning. So, Natalie, what are we going to be expecting tonight and into tomorrow morning?
Yeah, fog is going to be expected for us. In fact, it has been expanded to now include the entire Miami Valley. This is until 10 a.m. on Wednesday. We have our dense fog advisory, visibility a quarter mile or less expected across the area. So that could make traveling very difficult. So allow some extra time. Make sure you have those low beams on. You can see visibility right now down to about 1/10 of a mile in Troy, a little less than a mile in Greenville, 1.3 miles up in Bell Fountain right now with temperatures hanging out in the 40s. So at least it's not super cold out. We'll drop into the upper 30s overnight with that fog and a few showers around, but rain becomes more widespread by early tomorrow morning. I'll time it all out for you coming up.
We now know tonight Centerville City Schools are now looking at making reductions in the upcoming school year. That's based on if the district's 3.9 mil operating levy passes on the March 2024 ballot. Voters decided not to pass the one in November, so now the district is combining this reduced levy request with the following reductions. They're going to reduce 4 teaching positions, including math, science, special education, and physical education. A reduced 10.5 classified positions, including paraprofessionals, custodians, bus drivers, and clerical positions. The district will also eliminate 11 academic volunteer building coordinator stipends and hire essential staff at the lowest starting salary. The district will also increase preschool tuition by 10%. If the March levy fails, more reductions will be implemented. You can read all about the district's planned reductions in the web version of this story at Dayton247now.com. The annual point-in-time count starts early tomorrow morning to count how many people are unsheltered in Montgomery County. Now, this is required in order to get federal funding to help homelessness. Tomorrow morning, starting at 3:30, teams of volunteers will go out and count everyone they can find who's experiencing homelessness and not in shelters in a single night. One expert says it's clear something is missing.
So where we are really not meeting the needs is with safe, affordable housing. So that's the answer to homelessness, it's housing. A shelter is a necessary crisis safety support in our community, but it's not the answer to homelessness.
Now, the final count will also include people in shelters and then will be released in March. And we now know who's won the New Hampshire Republican primary election. After the break, who came out on top, and hear from supporters, plus which Democratic write-in name is projected to win. And Israel offering Hamas a ceasefire deal under one condition, a release of all remaining hostages. What this could mean for the ongoing conflict next.
And tracking fog and rain across the Miami Valley. I'll have details about our Wednesday morning commute that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
It's official. Former President Donald Trump has won the Republican primary in New Hampshire, but rival Nikki Haley is vowing to stay in the fight despite the loss. Brian Crandall in Nassau, New Hampshire, with the end of the nation's first primary.
Well, Trump supporters are celebrating tonight here at the Sheraton Hotel in Nashville, but if Donald Trump thought a victory here in New Hampshire would knock Nikki Haley out of the race, he was wrong. Whether she has a realistic path forward from here is yet to be seen. The voters of New Hampshire have spoken, delivering Donald Trump a win along his quest to return to the White House. But the only other Republican left in the race, Nikki Haley, won't clear the way.
New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
The Trump victory is sweet for his diehard supporters, undaunted by his legal troubles.
I honestly believe that our country is worth saving, and I want to be part of that.
Michael Demers has been volunteering for the Trump campaign in his home state of New Hampshire.
I've been making phone calls and knocking doors and working hard for Dawn, so I'm here to just enjoy the party.
There were 150 rallies in 42 states.
Donna Eden of Pennsylvania rolled into Trump's victory party in her RV, decked out in MAGA signs and merch, which she's been selling across the country for 5 years.
Trump has made our nation so much better, and now we're just in the rut. It's going to be civil war, I think.
Joe Biden is the projected winner on the Democratic side, despite not being in the ballot and having to rely on write-ins. His campaign put out a statement tonight saying that Trump's victory here means that the election-denying anti-freedom MAGA movement has completed its takeover of the Republican Party. In Nashville, New Hampshire, I'm Brian Crandall.
And as election season continues to get underway, we'll have all your updates at Dayton247now.com. Just click on the Beyond the Podium heading in the News tab. And taking a live look tonight from our Eco Plumber Skycam. Right now, things are not looking good out there, Natalie. What's going on?
Yeah, foggy night, dense fog advisory in effect for our entire area, and then eventually we're going to be dealing with some rain as well. So heading out this evening, early tomorrow morning, going to be a pretty messy morning commute out there. You can see showers now down to our southwest and eventually just a steady rain building in for the start of the day tomorrow. So heading through the overnight hours, not only the fog, but a pretty steady rain by around sunrise tomorrow. That'll be with us for that morning commute, and then also some heavier pockets as well into the late morning. So soggy conditions continue for the first half of the day tomorrow. A little break by the afternoon, but fog is still going to be an issue, especially by tomorrow night. I think perhaps we could even see a denser fog across the Miami Valley, quarter mile or less expected as we look tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, with a little break in the rain until we see some more rain building in by Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. More showers in the forecast for us, just very soggy weather. Does dry out as we head into our Friday, but rain builds back in by Saturday yet again. So as far as rainfall totals, at least an inch on top of what we've already seen, some higher totals to the southeast. This is through Friday. Got another round that will be making its way in by Saturday night into Sunday, bringing us more rainfall, maybe some spots getting close to 2 inches for our southern counties. And then we also have the potential for a little snow as we head Saturday night into Sunday that we'll be tracking. So we'll have a look at our 7-day coming up.
Israel is now offering Hamas a 2-month pause in fighting if they release all remaining hostages in Gaza. That's according to Axios. While it wouldn't bring an end to the war, it would represent the longest ceasefire to date. Israel says more than 130 hostages are now being held. It would mean redeploying Israeli defense forces and moving them out of main population centers so civilians can return. And after nearly 2 years of delays, Turkey has approved Sweden's bid to join NATO. The Turkish president is expected to sign the ratification into law any day now. He had stalled Sweden's bid by accusing the country of being too lenient toward groups it considers terrorist. Now Hungary is the only country blocking Sweden's approval. Every member nation of NATO must approve for a country to join. For the first time since the establishment of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, the U.S. has no money to offer to support Kyiv's war efforts. The U.S. hosted the monthly gathering of roughly 50 countries today, but the Pentagon can't send Ukraine any more ammunition or missiles. Congress hasn't yet passed a budget or approved more aid to Ukraine, so U.S. defense officials are encouraging allies to fill the financial gap. Over $110 billion in aid for both Ukraine and Israel is now in limbo. And the Department of Justice is looking for more information when it comes to the Six Flags and the Cedar Fair merger, that proposed $8 billion merger. That's according to Reuters. This comes when many recent U.S. deals are facing antitrust scrutiny, like the proposed JetBlue Spirit merger that was actually blocked. Both Six Flags and Cedar Fair say they will comply with the DOJ request and still expect the merger to close sometime in the first half of the year. Tonight, a new plan to get rid of the state's income tax was announced by state Republicans. How this can affect all of us. Next, you're watching Dayton 24/7 now. Tonight, state Republicans are announcing an ambitious new plan to eliminate the state's income tax as well as the commercial activity tax. Now, that's the tax businesses pay just to do business here in Ohio. The new proposal was introduced today and would span over the next 10 years. Stephanie Dupre explains how this could affect us all.
The people who need it the most are the people who get nothing, and the people that need it the least are the people that get everything. So my hope is that this gets stopped.
For more than 30 years, Erin Keller has called Ohio home, telling us she describes herself as living just above middle class. She's not so sure Senate Bill 327 would be a benefit to high earners.
This agenda is very disappointing.
Sponsors of the legislation say the goal is to eliminate state income tax by 2030. This will be done through a, quote, phased-in approach.
Making Ohio the most business-friendly state in the nation and to financially dominate the rest of the country.
Under the current law, people making under $26,000 a year don't pay a state income tax. Those people in the upper tier who make more than $200,000 a year pay the state close to 5% of their earnings in income tax. Sponsors of the legislation say getting rid of the state income tax would do several things: encourage a more competitive business environment, create jobs, and enhance the overall economic well-being of Ohioans. Keller is not so sure.
If you really look and read between the lines, it's just one more attempt to hurt the middle class and lower class, and I am completely opposed.
If this legislation were to eventually pass, Ohio would become the 10th state to eliminate its state income tax.